In fact, so many home buyers were offered mortgage rate buy downs that in December of 2022, according to John Burns Research and Consulting, about 75% of home builders were offering mortgage rate buy downs by the end of 2022. And they were doing that in lieu of lowering prices. Nowadays, they're doing both. But back then, they didn't have to lower prices because if you don't remember, it was an absolute frenzy on the market. And the other trick that these home builders use in order to get people to do this is not only would they offer an artificially low rate, but they would also say that the only way to get this rate is you have to use our in-house lender. And so they were able to get a little bit of money back on that side of the deal, on the lending side of things. And without this maneuver, a lot of home builders probably would have went out of business over the past 2 or 3 years. And the reality is, too many people bought homes during this time frame out of FOMO and trying to afford a lifestyle that they really couldn't, like the example couple we just talked about. And since residential real estate is so emotional, most people buy because they just love the house, right? And they find out like that's the one. They see the property like, okay, this is it. Let's move on it. And then they kind of worry about the consequences of it later on. Once they realize they don't like the property, they're kind of stuck in a situation just like these people were. Even according to Zillow, about 45% of home buyers who purchased a home in the last year have a mortgage rate below 5%, which means they have some form of a buy down because mortgage rates haven't been below 5% in a very long time, which means that all those people, almost half, have mortgage rates that are artificially low that are going to continue to go up, which means the cost of them owning that property is also going to go up. And a lot of people are not going to be able to afford it and are going to be listing that home for sale, probably at a loss, just like the couple in this story. And like I've told you guys countless times before, one of the biggest problems with the mortgage rate buy down is even though at the time you qualify for the loan, you can technically afford the highest payment that you're going to have, the problem is that you have 2 or 3 or 4 years between the time you buy the house and the time your payment reaches its maximum amount to give you lifestyle creep, to have lifestyle inflation, to bring on more expenses and take on more debt and have more things to pay for in the meantime. You might say, hey, I'm saving an extra $500-600 a month because of this mortgage rate buy down. That's enough for me to go and buy a new car. That's enough for us to take that vacation to Italy that we've always wanted to do and put it on the credit card. You know what I mean? And this also shows you just how fast the housing market can turn around. Just look at that example back there at the beginning of this video, guys. Like, house purchased in 2021 for almost 9 million, and now they're down to 7 million. And that's just within a span of a few years, and the price is probably going to be lower by the time it sells. All these people who bought homes that are going to have to sell for less than they purchased it for. So everybody just kind of made a deal with the devil, who said, okay, I'll pay a higher price in exchange for an artificially low mortgage rate. And now that a lot of these people want to get rid of these homes, they're simply not going to be able to turn a profit on them. Even take a look at this. An executive at KB Homes, which is one of the nation's largest home builders, on an earnings call recently said that many customers are overpaying for homes that offer these incentives, suggesting that they could have a harder time clearing a profit in the future. They're tied into this higher price that they're going to be stuck with forever until they sell that home. And what have I always said on this channel? The price is the one thing that you can never change when you purchase a house. You can always change the interest rate later on. You can change the walls, you can change the floors, you can redecorate, you can re-landscape the yard, but you can never change how much you paid for the house. And they also talked to a mortgage lender who used to work for a home builder for this story, and he says that he's hearing more and more stories of buyer's remorse these days. And he said that builders could keep their listing prices higher while passing along savings to buyers in the form of lower monthly payments. But if one of those buyers is trying to sell now, they'll likely be competing against the same builder who sold them their home, only the builder has been steadily lowering prices or layering on new incentives. That means homeowners often cannot resell for what they originally paid. At the end of May, for example, the home builder Lennar said its average incentive per home had stretched to nearly $60,000 up from 44,000 just 1 year ago. So the lesson here is simple. Incentives like mortgage rate buydowns can look like free money at the time, but they come with strings attached, guys. If you're not planning to stay in a home for at least 5 to 7 years, then this deal might end up costing you everything that you think you're gaining from it. This story is the perfect example.